Hey everybody, I'm Nicholas Skinner with Skinner Games, and you're here for another episode of Game Reviews in 5 minutes or less. In this episode, we'll be talking about a couple of small volumes from ThrowiGames, authored by Tom Wilson. First, we'll be talking about Off the Beaten Path. This is a short volume of forest adventure excursions that you can run in any campaign setting. The second volume we'll be talking about is an additional Kickstarter that he ran, and this volume is super useful. It is a systemless book that is merchants and markets. So the first one that I wanted to talk about, Off the Beaten Path. In this volume, there are 23 adventures, and each one is about 1 to 2 pages long. And the way that they're organized, the table of contents, which has the adventure name, what page it's on, whether it's easy, very easy, or a difficult adventure, and roughly how many players it will take to complete the adventure successfully. I want to show you the cover art again, because this is just amazing. The cover art is done by Travis Hansen, and I've talked to him a couple of times online before about some of his influences on his work, and some of it goes back to the Rankin and Bass old school cartoons, like your Flight of Dragons and your Last Unicorn and the old Hobbit movie and stuff like that. So for those of you who are familiar with it, you can kind of see a little bit of the influences that he has in here. And I love Travis Hansen's stuff, and here's the back section of it. Now I'm going to read some of these adventure titles so that you guys can get kind of an idea of what's in here. So we have Cave of the Bloodsuckers, A False Reward, Grave of the Grey Soldier, Spirit Tree of the Witch, Tower of the Dogs, Tomb of the Undying Hero, The Party Spoiled, Waterfall of Dreams, The Sudden Sinkhole, Reliquary of Shadow, Deserted Tree House, The Soul Cube of Han Salnak, Squirreled Away, Death's Eternal Battle, and so on and so forth. Now, we ran through the Reliquary of Shadow in my table group, and we rather enjoyed the short adventure and some of the loot that we got from it. The one thing that I really like about Tom Wilson and how he has set this book up is that it's really very broad. It's a very broad perspective so that you can really work it into your campaign without having to really fiddle with too much. Now the second book, Merchants and Markets, was another Kickstarter, and the more people that backed it, the more stuff he put inside. And I'm really happy that he also eventually offered a print, because although I really like PDFs for reading when I'm like on the go or doing whatever else, I really like to have the book at my table. I mean, quite obviously, I have an addiction to books. This is one of many bookshelves that I have in my house, and they're all just chocked full of stuff. Not all of them are role-playing games, thankfully, or my wife would shoot me. And no, I'm not exaggerating. But I like to be able to thumb through the book and to have it open. There's only so much you can juggle on a phone or your tablet, but with a book, you can have that stacked next to you, and you can have multiple pages open at a time. And it just makes it easier for me as a person to be able to juggle things when I have the physical copy of it in front of me. So thank you, Tom, for offering this as a print, especially because the markets and stuff are not my favorite things to create. So for me, someone who likes to try and take a shortcut when I can when it comes to background stuff like the markets, this is one of the most excellent books for me. I mean, and he's pretty comprehensive with things he addresses. I'll just kind of share the table of contents like I have a tendency to do so that you can get a good overview of what's happening here. One thing I really like about how he's organized this is he's giving you generic shops as well as named shops. So if you want to have somebody with a little bit more of a personality, he throws that in there as an option. He also gives you generic options so that you can add the personality and thing likewise. And there are tables and things that I'll show in a bit that show you how this is constructed. So the table of contents. You've got blacksmiths, caravans, fortune tellers, herbalists, magic shops, normal markets, potion shops, supply shops, weapon shops, unique shops, generic shop floor plans, and then it goes into appendices and merchant templates so that you can make your own. Here's an example of the generic blacksmith shop. Here you'll see generic blacksmith names, shopkeeper names, village blacksmith crafting capability, so you know what they can and cannot construct for your party. And it goes into more detail than that. So you have, if the person has apprentices, the kind of condition the shop is in, whether they have a non-standard inventory, so if you want to pick up chainmail maybe, and the shop doesn't provide it, you're going to know with these random tables. And then there are a few named shops that it gives you, like this one, Morg's Smithy, or the Red Anvil. And it gives you those things that you need to know as far as who runs them, what their personality is like, what they offer in their shop, the repairs they can make, that sort of thing. And it goes on for all of these, as I said, the herbalists, so that you know what they do and do not sell, And there isn't a whole lot of art involved, but the art that is in here is quite nice. So here's an example of the herbalist and the art that's involved in that. So to show some of the other things, here's the shop floor plans for some just generic ones if you want. And then it starts the appendices that has some different information in it. And then wonderfully and gratefully, here in the back, you have a blank merchant chart. So you can make your own and customize it as you see fit. So there are two fantastic volumes by ThrowiGames. I highly suggest everybody at least pick up the Merchants and Markets ones, because that one will save a ton of time, especially if you guys travel a lot in your games. You don't have to think up a new shop every time. You can just pick up the table and roll, and you've got yourself a shop. So I love things as a game master myself that help save time, and I really, really love that. And Off the Beaten Path is just a fantastic little book of adventures that if you didn't have enough time to plan, like what happens periodically in my life, I can just pick up that thing and roll with an adventure and we're good to go. I hope you guys received some inspiration to look at ThrowiGames and to see what some of the other things are that they offer. And if you found this video useful, please give us that good old thumbs up like and subscribe to our channel. Also, don't forget to check out our other show, Retro Roleplaying, where the first or second Saturday of every month, depending on people's schedules, we play through a lot of these games. I hope you guys have a great day, and as always, happy gaming!